And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Minnesota Twins episode. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Who cares? But no, don't think that. The Twins have some good players. But anyway, they won the World Series back in the day. But that being said, yes, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Twins Mount Rushmore, the 4 greatest players in Twins history, or thereabouts. And unfortunately, there's only 4 of us here tonight. Wade could not make it due to prior circumstances, so the rest of us will hold down the fort. So let's get started. Drew, who is your number 4 on your Twins Mount Rushmore?
Joe Mauer.
He's also my number 4.
He's my number 3.
My number 2.
Oh wow, unanimous.
Joe's in.
Right.
Does anybody have Wade's list, by the way?
I do not.
I do not. No. Sorry, Wade's.
Well, Joe just got into the Hall of Fame.
He did.
He's an MVP, 6-time All-Star, 3 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers, 3 batting titles. He's got 2,100 hits, 143 home runs. He batted .306 for his career. He played 15 years for the Twins. He was just really, for about those 15 years, he was pretty much the staple of the Twins.
He was, yeah.
When you thought about the Twins, he was probably their best player for all those years, most of them, to the end probably.
Well, something you said really rings as like, holy crap! Like he's a catcher, and he won 3 batting titles. Like that doesn't happen.
No, catchers don't win batting titles. Andy got an MVP. Catchers don't normally win MVPs as much.
Yeah,
as some of the other position players. He's got 3 Gold Gloves, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then you got to think about the other catchers during this time, I guess. I guess he's in the American League, so it would have been, him?
Did he overlap with Pudge?
He would overlap with
Pudge.
Pudge,
In the
yeah.
beginning.
So, there weren't probably too many Gold Gloves to get with Pudge around.
That you would have had Perez for the Royals later on in his career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of people in my mind. Who in the American League? Who catchers in the American League? All the ones I keep thinking: Yachty, Buster Posey.
We're both NL guys.
The guy played for the A's. He just went to the Braves.
Murphy.
Would he have been there probably at the end of his career?
Maybe at the very end. Yeah.
Trying to think of these other American League teams. Let's look up these. All right, I'm just gonna look.
Well, I'm looking at it here. I just pulled up the Gold Gloves. Perez won 7.
Okay.
So there's 7 of them. Early on in his career, Rodriguez won 3 or 4. So there's like 11 of his 15 years right there.
Yeah, and then he got the other 4. Or 3. He got 3 of the other ones.
So
he got 3, and there was like some guy from Baltimore got 2 in a row.
Yeah, Matt Wieters. So, yeah, there was some really good catchers we had Pudge on our 3 greatest catchers of all time list.
Yeah, we did.
So, yeah. All right, well, does anybody else have anything to add on Joe Mauer before we move on?
No.
I was just looking, though. For a guy that hit, like, in the 300s pretty much every year, had a few years with some power, he never had 100 RBIs.
Wow.
Probably because no one else on the Twins got on base.
He
probably got on base, and that's about it. Well, the Twins haven't really been.
They had Morneau for.
Yeah.
They played together for a while.
Yeah, but the Twins are another one of those American League franchises that just don't do much anymore. They just whatever they have is what they show out. They hit about right at 500 every year, and they almost won that AL Central division because all the teams in that division did the same thing. Was it them, the Indians? Oh, we're doing it. White Sox, Royals. All those teams, they do the same thing every year. It comes down to which one of them barely gets a little bit over 500. That team wins the division. The last 3 years, it feels like it's been the Twins and the Indians going like, I don't know the exact numbers, like 84 and 80 or something stupid like that, and that they win their division. Like the AL Central's always just been kind of
So kind of like
mediocre.
the NFC South.
Kind of, yeah, to an extent that way. Would you guys agree with that? The way?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just. I mean, that's just. That's what I think. At least that's how it's been the last couple of years. It's been the Twins, or the Indians, or the Guardians. My bad.
I still do the same thing.
I mean, every year just they barely make it to 90 wins, maybe.
Maybe.
But it's one of those two teams because the Royals, the White Sox, and I'm forgetting one. Who am I forgetting?
Royals, what? Tigers.
Tigers. Yeah, the Tigers haven't been good in a while, so those three teams aren't good. And then these two are just mediocre, so someone has to win it. Like Ray said, someone has to win the NFC South.
Very true.
So.
All right. Well, Uncle Doug, you have 4 left?
I do.
Well, who is your number 4?
My number 4 is Harmon Killebrew.
Oh, he's my number 1.
I said he's my number 1.
That's also my number 4.
Oh, okay. So another unanimous.
Yes,
Nice. We're rolling right along here.
2 for 2. I like that.
Yeah. Well, he's got batted .256, which is not the best, but okay. But 573 home runs in there. 2,086 hits. Of course, he's in the Hall of Fame. MVP, got 13 All-Stars. Played for 21 years in Minnesota.
Dang, 21.
Racked up 1,584 RBIs. So,
No, I know Harmon Killebrew is pretty old. We're talking about a guy that played in the 50s and 60s, and I guess he made it to the 70s. But Harmon Killebrew was one of the favorites of my grandpa. So he talked about Harmon Killebrew quite a bit. So I'm actually pretty familiar with him.
he's got looks like about 6 home run titles, about 3 RBI titles. He was solid for a long, long time.
Yeah. I mean, 573 home runs, it doesn't sound as crazy now because we've seen the steroid guys.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're talking about in, 1975 when he retired, 573 home runs was a ton.
Yeah.
He was probably top 5.
Probably. I mean, obviously he was
Behind.
behind Ruth,
Right.
but Aaron wouldn't have had it yet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he may have had 500, but I don't think he would have had Babe's record, right?
Right. No,
No.
not yet.
Because he played into the 80s, right?
Ooh, boy, I don't remember when he broke that record.
We're going to have to look.
I remember him doing
He's
it,
probably
but-
somewhere around him, I would guess. But yeah, I mean, what? I'm trying to think of the people that would be ahead of him. Who's in the?
Hank Aaron retired in 76.
Oh, so.
And he only hit 10 home runs in 76. So in 75, when Killebrew retired, Aaron would have had over 700 home runs.
Okay.
Oh, so.
So Aaron and Ruth would have had more home runs than him, and I guess Mays.
Right.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Who's
Albert
on?
wouldn't have been.
Yeah, no, Albert's not
He's up
there.
now, but
Yeah, Albert and Tomei and Sosa and those guys all have 600, but
Right.
and Griffey, but they wouldn't have been even playing
not
yet.
Then.
Yeah,
So,
none of them are playing. Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking at him probably being 4th all time, maybe 5th if we're forgetting somebody.
Yeah.
There could be somebody in the high 5s we're not thinking of too that has
Yeah.
just a couple more. I guess this is easy enough to look up, the 500 home run club. Dum. 500 home run club. Oh, well, that's not what I wanted, but oh, yeah, A-Rod has 600 as well.
Well, Killebrew's currently 12th on the list.
Oh, Frank Rob.
Frank Robinson hit 586.
Yeah.
But Frank Robinson did play through the 80s, didn't he?
Yeah, he played a long time. Then Willie Mays, and I'm not sure when Willie retired.
Yeah, so
I
I
mean-
think he was either 4th or 5th when he retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what Frank
What
Robinson
did it say?
had.
He's 12th now.
He's 12th now.
12th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, you're talking about a definite home run hitter. I mean, it took him a while to get started. Apparently, he had like what 5 years there where he only played a handful of games a season,
Yeah.
and then in '59 he really got started and he immediately hit 42 home runs. And it's 42, 31, 46, 48, 45, 49, 25, 39, 44, 17. 49, 41, like
Pretty consistent.
yeah.
Yeah, once he got going.
He even led the league in on base percentage one year. That's crazy. But his MVP season, he hit 276, which is not great but respectable, with a 429 on base, which led the league, and a 584 slug for a 1011 OPS, which is a very, very nice season. But he hit 49 home runs for 140 RBIs. He also was walked 145 times. All three of those things led the league. He had 20 doubles. He had 153 hits and scored 106 runs. Now,
Pretty good season.
Yeah.
I'd say it was. Maybe we'll hear about this season again some other time.
Yeah.
The MVP season of 1969.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if he's leading the league in most categories, I don't know.
That's also
Unless there's a pitcher that had a dominant season that year.
yeah. All right. Well, anybody else have anything to add about old Harmon Killebrew?
Yeah.
By the way, Harmon Killebrew, that's a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Killebrew up the bat now.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
kill-
his nickname was Killer.
Yeah.
So
or you can use it in a sentence like, I just killed that brew at the bar.
Oh, boy. Ray, you don't have a 4 left, right?
No,
So none of us have a 4 left. We're all done. Who has a 3 left?
I do.
I don't.
I do.
All right, Drew, who's your 3?
Kirby Puckett.
He's my 2.
Kirby was my one.
That's also my 3.
Okay. Perfect.
So we're unanimous again?
Yep.
That's 3 straight unanimous, gentlemen.
I know.
Is somebody going to screw this up?
Probably Drew.
Whoa. I got another Hall of Famer on there, so.
I do too.
Right.
I feel like the person that hasn't been listed needs to be on all the lists. So that's on my list. It hasn't been listed. It should be on everybody's list. So I feel like we got a shot.
We have a chance. Let's talk about old Kirby, though.
Yeah.
He's another Hall of Famer, 10-time All-Star. He was on the World Series teams, too. 6-time Gold Glove, 6-time Silver Slugger. He's got a batting title. He's got ALCS MVP, All-Star Game MVP. He's got 2,300 hits, 207 home runs, batted .318. He played 12 years in Minnesota. He led the league in hits 4 times. Obviously led the league in batting average once. He was always flirting with 300. I think there's only like 1 or 2 seasons where he doesn't. It's like 296, 288, 298. So, he was always right there every year. He's one of those 300 hitters all the time. Like I said, he was on those World Series teams. I'm sure Dad saw him in the World Series.
Well, first off, I want to say this. Kirby Puckett, hell of a baseball player. I know Drew just read off a bunch of numbers. We're talking about like the overall baseball numbers, especially of Hall of Famers and like Mount Rushmore guys. You would probably say not really impressive, to be honest with you, other than maybe like his batting average and stuff. But his career was cut short by injury. He was hit in the face with a ball and went blind in one eye.
Yeah.
So he could not play baseball any longer. But I think personally, and Uncle Doug is somebody that did watch him a lot. I think if he would have been able to finish out his career, we probably would be talking about him in the same, maybe not like a Babe Ruth or Willie Mays, but like in the legit Hall of Famer, like elite
Right.
player type.
Higher
Yeah.
The number. Baseball is probably the biggest number sport. Losing a chunk of your career really hurts you in your all-time legacy.
Well, it's probably only 2 or 3 more years and he's at 3,000 hits. I mean, his last year in the league, he had basically 170 hits, and he's already at 2,300.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a couple more years, if he gets to 15 or 16 years, he's probably at 3,000 hits.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure he gets that. I mean, his last year in the league, I mean, he didn't win anything. But, I mean, he was an all-star. So, I
He
mean,
came in second in the MVP voting once and third twice.
So.
He actually led the league in RBIs once. It's kind of crazy. You're also talking about another guy. He only won one batting title, but you're also talking about a guy that played almost identical years to Wade Boggs and George Brett.
Oh, yeah.
So the two of them would have been competing for the batting titles with Puckett.
Right. And that's some pretty stiff competition. They both have several titles.
Yeah. I think we said what? Boggs had 6,
yeah, I think so, yeah.
and Brett had like 3.
So, yeah.
So there's 9 of his 12 years,
Yeah.
and he gets 1.
Yeah, and he gets 1. But, you're also talking about a guy that has 6 Gold Gloves.
Yeah.
Oh. Very accomplished player for somebody that didn't get to finish his career. And he won a World Series or 2 World Series with the Twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. I remember him getting hurt. Do you remember the circumstances?
He hit with a pitch.
Okay. I remember him getting hit in the face, but I couldn't remember exactly what
Then
the deal
I
was.
thought I saw something that was like, it's when he woke up the next day, he just couldn't see out of his right eye. Like at first, I don't think it was like as bad, but then I think it was him. He like woke up the next day and he couldn't see.
And that'd be a scary feeling.
I mean, that would be.
Yeah.
Like, man.
I mean, that'd be wild.
But, no, I think, it's kind of a tragic thing to think about, really. I mean, a
Yeah.
Hall of Fame player, all-time great for his franchise, gets hit in the face with a ball and loses his sight and can't play anymore.
Yeah, you're done.
My computer is like completely froze or something. I can't get to do anything, and now I'm not talking. So, I apologize.
But no, Drew, you're right. I did watch him a lot in that 87 World Series when he played the Cardinals. That was an amazing series. 7 games. Home team won every game. And the American League had home field advantage, so the Twins won.
Is that still with the All-Star game? Ever won that?
Yeah, I don't remember now. But I just
Because
remember
I think that's kind of a load of crap. I mean, it's helped. Well, helped the Cardinals out one year. That year we played the Rangers.
yeah.
We were a wild card team, and they were the favorites in the American League, but we got home field advantage because the NL actually won the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Like that's, I think it should go based on your record. I mean,
Well, that 87 series, the Twins were big home run hitters in their stadium, but they couldn't hit them in Busch. And the Cardinals manufactured runs in Busch, but couldn't manufacture enough in Minnesota. And so, yeah, it was a crazy series.
so yeah, Alex just showed me, and it hits him right in the eye. I mean, it drills him.
Oh,
Looks like a 2-seam fastball.
wow.
Just
Nowadays, a helmet might be able to block it at least a little bit. I mean, maybe.
And it doesn't even look like it touches the helmet, just straight to the face.
No, yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't like nick it. I mean, it just misses. Why did the Twins leave the dome?
I think it just got old.
Yeah, I think they just played in a long time. And
All right. Well, this is the moment of truth, guys. We gotta find out if we had a perfect week. I haven't gone yet, so I'll go ahead and go. But my one guy left is Rod Crew.
That's also mine.
That's who I have.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
A perfect week. So Wade will be happy and sad that we had a perfect week, but without him. But I have faith, Wade. If you'd have been here, we'd have done it anyway.
That's right.
Rod Carew, Hall of Famer, MVP, Rookie of the Year, 18-time All-Star, 7-time batting champ, and he has over 3,000 hits, had a career 328, 353 stolen bases. His career on-base percentage is 393.
Yeah. He had a season where he batted 388.
Yeah.
He was just a great hitter.
That was his MVP season.
So
Batted 388 with a 449 on base percentage with a 570 slug, which is pretty good for a guy that hit like 100 home runs in his career.
yeah.
And 1019 OPS. He hit 14 home runs and 100 RBIs with 23 stolen bases. He led the league in runs with 128, hits with 239, and triples with 16.
That's wild. You hit more triples than home runs. And it's not like it's just like one, and you know what I'm saying? But it's like you played a whole season. You had that's crazy. 16 triples. You barely even see.
Yep, he was a baller. He did only play 12 seasons in Minnesota, though. I didn't mention that. He played 7 with the Angels afterwards.
At first, it confused me because it said California. Like on here it says CA. I was like, who is that? So I clicked on it and said California, and it was like, oh, now it's Anaheim.
When I was a kid, they were still the California Angels.
Weren't they still the California Angels in that Disney movie too?
What, Angels in the Outfield?
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yep. No, perfect week, gentlemen. I am thrilled about this.
So we haven't done that in a while.
No
We have
deals,
not.
No nothing. Just
Yeah.
I mean, I thought there might be a chance tonight for them, but I figured maybe. I don't know.
They'll probably get rowdy again next week. Just wait.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
So just to remind the listeners, our Mount Rushmore for the Minnesota Twins is as follows: Joe Mauer, Harmon Killebrew, Kirby Puckett, and Rod Carew. So I'd say, I mean, that's 4 Hall of Famers, gentlemen. I'd say the Twins, for such a meh franchise, I'd say they have a pretty good 4, really.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think so.
I mean, 4 Hall of Famers, you can. We've
Now-
had some franchises that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I do think if we were to ever go back and like, hey, let's make a second Mount Rushmore for every franchise, that's where you would start to see Minnesota's like meh.
They would start dropping off.
Yeah, because
They'd
you'd be like, who are some of these guys?
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see. We're definitely gonna have worse franchises as far as their 4 guys go. So that will end our Mount Rushmore portion of this episode and lead us into MVP debate. And this year, this episode, we will debate the year of 1987, my birth year, actually.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, man. And the 1987 MVPs, and should they keep their MVP status? And Drew, do you remember who won the 87 MVPs?
The AL is George Bell, and the NL is Andre Dawson. So we'll do the AL first, like we did last week. George had 188 hits, 47 home runs, 134 RBIs, which led the league, 5 stolen bases, 40 walks. He batted .308, 352 on base percentage, 600 slugging percentage, and 957 OPS. So not a bad year, but I mean nothing crazy. I guess. I mean, he only led it one category.
So I'm going to say this, and again, I like being able to tell you guys things without giving you names so it doesn't taint anything. But this is the person that actually led the league in WAR. Okay?
Not WAR.
Everybody's favorite stat.
They won the batting title at 363. They had 24 home runs and 89 RBIs. They had 200 hits and 108 runs. They walked 104 times, which made their on-base percentage .461, which also led the league. They had a .588 slug for an OPS of .1049, higher than the MVP seasons we just talked for Carew and Puckett. Did that person have a better season than George Bell? I mean, we can do a more close comparison. This person had 57 points higher in batting average and 109 points higher in on-base percentage. George Bell had 2 points higher in slugging percentage. And this person's OPS was a little over 5 points higher. When you look at their runs, George Bell had 3 more. This person had 12 more hits. Now, George Bell did have 23 more home runs and 44 more RBIs. So yeah, I guess that's my question. You think this person had a better year than George Bell? By the way, this person came in 9th in the MVP voting that year.
Yeah, I can't say too much because I'm looking at the list too.
Oh, it's
I know
Wade.
who you're
It's
talking
Wade
about.
Boggs
Yeah.
is who it is, which I found interesting.
I mean, yes and no. Different aspects of it, yeah. He won the batting title and the on-base percentage and all that in the OPS, but I guess the thing for me is the RBIs. He's so far behind in RBIs. Everything else is
we're also talking about like a cleanup hitter and a leadoff hitter.
that's it.
But the thing that kills me is that Boggs almost has the same slugging percentage as somebody that hit 47 home runs.
Yeah.
They don't have doubles listed on here, so I'm gonna bet that Boggs has a bunch more doubles than Bell.
I would. Yeah, he almost has to.
Although I will say this, we kind of skipped over him, but Alan Trammell had a heck of a year. 343 with a 402 on base. He had 109 runs, 205 hits, 28 home runs, 105 RBIs, and 21 stolen bases. That's a pretty good year, really. And Trammell's not even in the Hall, is he? They were keeping him out for the longest time.
He's in.
How did he get in?
Yeah, he got in 2018.
McGuire led the league in homers this year, with 49.
Third is Kirby Puckett. One of the years he led the league in hits.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh no, this isn't a real loaded year. It's nothing.
Well, and nobody really doubled up on, other than Boggs with the batting average and on base percentage, but I guess McGuire had home runs and slugging. But it's like RBIs was Bell, but hits was Kirby, runs was Paul Molitor,
Walks was Dwight Evans.
yeah. So
they're all
it
over.
was all kind of spread out.
Yeah, I'm even looking at some of these pitchers over here, and none of their seasons are.
Well, the only one is Roger Clemens, all the way down at 19.
Yeah, he won 20 games, which led the league, and had a 2.97 ERA, which is obviously good. He threw 281 innings. Had 256 strikeouts.
That's probably the best season from. Well, I guess the one closer had 34 saves, 2.49.
Well, I'm going to say that I'm going to let George, from my opinion, I'm going to let George Bell keep it just because I'm indecisive.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that's kind of
No one else, in my opinion, really did enough
to completely overtake him.
Yeah.
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 I think I'm going to have to agree there. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, sounds about right.
I'll be fine with George.
All right, well, let's move on to the NL, which is an interesting case. I do want to bring this up because I'm going to have some things to say about this. But Andre Dawson won an MVP. Shout out AC, who thinks Andre Dawson is the greatest player ever. Andre Dawson had a good season. He had 287 with 49 home runs and 137 RBIs. The home runs and RBIs both led the league. He also had 178 hits and 90 runs, a little low for an MVP. 328 on base percentage, also a little low. And an 896 OPS. Not bad, but definitely not elite either. So I'm looking at some of the other guys here. Ozzy came in second. I really don't know.
Did he do something magnificent that year on defense or what?
Well,
Or just usual production from Ozzy?
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals went to the World Series, and he's one of their big stars, and he did actually bat 300 that year, which for him was a big deal.
I know. I mean, looking at his offensive numbers, he had to do something.
43 stolen bases, which Vince Coleman had 109 that year.
Yeah.
So,
Jack Clark had himself a little bit of a season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the one, if anybody, in my opinion.
I mean, his power numbers are not on Dawson's level. But he was on base a lot more and led the league in on base, slugging, and OPS. He's like quite a bit higher in OPS, actually.
Yeah, it's 896, so 1055. Like.
And St. Louis is obviously good, and the Cubs came in last place.
yeah.
Yeah. Alex's
What's
stat
new
about
there?
the Cubs.
Yeah, Jack Clark had it. And it's interesting looking at I know we don't like WAR, and this is why. Andre Dawson's WAR was 4, Ozzy's was 6.4, and Jack Clark was 5.4.
What position did Jack Clark play?
First base, the Cardinals.
Because Ozzy's WAR being high isn't surprising because he played shortstop.
Right.
But here's one for you. The person that led the league in WAR was Tony Gwynn,
Tony Gwynn, I was looking down there at that.
who hit 370.
Yeah, he also led the league in hits and average.
Which,
batting average.
does that surprise anybody? No.
No.
No, it didn't surprise
Only
me.
had 7 homers.
He also had
54
56 stolen bases.
Yeah, which is a lot for Tony Gwynn. I mean, I don't always think about Tony being the fleetest guy around.
Now, he only hit 7 home runs, but the guy that came in second in the MVP race had 0.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, I'm not really sure how Gwynn's that far down the list, to be 100%
I'm not
honest with
either.
you.
I mean, maybe it's because the Padres weren't that good, but neither were the Cubs.
Yeah.
Wait, 87. I'll see what you.
Hey, Dale Murphy had 44 home runs.
Yeah.
Padres were 65 and 97.
What was the Cubs record?
Let me see. Let me click on them. The Cubs were 76 and 85. So not much. They both finished 6th in their divisions.
So how's everybody feeling about this?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, don't everybody talk at once.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just kind of
I'm struggling with Andre.
Well, I am, but then I'm not. I look at 49 home runs, 137 RBIs. I'm like, okay, the guy should probably be leading the league in slugging and probably walks if he's hitting that many home runs. You know what I'm saying?
He had 32 walks.
But
That's
then I
kind
look
of
at
pathetic.
it, 32 walks. Jack Clark has over 100 more walks, and he has a higher slugging percentage, and he hit 14 less home runs. Again, the doubles numbers must be.
Yeah, I wonder what. Click on Dawson here and pull up some of his more different numbers, I guess. Looking at 87, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clark
He had 24. Dawson did doubles.
hit 23 doubles.
What about triples?
1.
He had 2. So where are they?
Where in the slugging percentage are we?
And their batting averages are 287 and 286.
Yeah, so if he hit more home runs, more doubles, and more triples, how is Clark's slugging percentage higher?
How many at bats does he have?
At bats, 621.
Oh,
Clark
at
419.
so does that count? Less at bats would make it bump up.
Oh, he hit for that amount of power, close to the same amount of power, and 200 less at bats.
Yeah,
So
because he
that's-
only played 131 games. How many games did?
153.
So yeah, he played another 22 games than Clark did.
Right.
Now I will say this though, Andre Dawson was, he was a Gold Glove guy, and he had an absolute bazooka for an arm and out there in the outfield. So I guess here's my take Andre Dawson out of it. Who is the person you would give it to if Andre Dawson wasn't here?
Well, I'd probably have to go with. Honestly, in my opinion, I'd probably give it to Clark or probably Tony Gwynn. Honestly.
I'll say Clark's looking pretty good. Tony Gwynn's looking good. Tim Raines isn't looking bad. 123 runs. He led the league in runs. 175 hits. 18 home runs. 68 RBIs.
Yeah.
Stole 50 bases.
I'd probably
330
go
batting average.
Well, what about Will Clark? I mean, he had 35 home runs and batted 308.
Yeah, there's some.
on base percentage is 371.
Mm-hmm.
His slugging percentage is higher than Andre's.
I mean, you got.
OPS is higher too. Can't believe it.
Majority of this list has a higher OPS than Dawson.
In my
Yeah.
opinion, I would probably go with Clark or Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, I keep looking at Tony Gwynn as well, to be honest with
I
you.
mean, 370,
370.
218 hits. I mean, he only had 54 RBIs.
He hit, okay, so here's my thing, though. You hit 370, and you get on base at pretty much 45% of the time. That's a pretty great clip. But then you add in that he stole 56 bases.
Yeah.
So he got on and then stole himself into scoring position.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
How many runs? He had 119 runs.
yeah, which is 4 less than the leader.
Yeah, so, I mean, he came around the score. He didn't always hit everyone.
Now, again, though, he also played on a terrible team. So, does that, how valuable are you if you win 60 or 70 games and, even though if you put up some big stats? Like,
I guess I understand the argument, but when the guy who wins does the same thing you did.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, the
it's
Cubs
the same
suck,
as
too.
Andre Dawson.
So,
To me, that drives Jack Clark up. But maybe they voted less for Clark because he missed games.
I don't, yeah.
That is true.
I don't remember exactly.
1987. Well, the Giants won 90 games that year. That's who Will Clark was playing for. It's only Will Clark's second year in the league.
Yeah.
I don't have really any pitchers on the NL1.
Also makes you wonder if Ozzie and Jack split the vote.
Yeah, that's
That
also
too.
very, very possible.
Because Ozzie got 193 and Jack 186 to Dawson's 269. If you take one of them out and the other one gets even a decent chunk of the other guy's votes, they win.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Jack Clark did miss 31 games. I mean, that is a decent amount. And that's like the most on this page. Like all 18 guys that got votes. I don't know. You know what? Fuck it. I'm doing it. I think Jack Clark should have been the MVP.
I can go along with that.
Cardinal over a Cub, Alex? Fine with me.
Yeah, I'm thinking Clark or
I
Tony
mean-
Gwynn, so I can get behind Jack Clark.
I can go with it. Works for me. Because I don't understand how Ozzy's second. I really don't.
I mean, the Cardinals won 95 games. I mean, there's nothing to shake a stick at there.
Well, and I just think that Ozzy was such a face of the franchise, and that Cardinal team was built on defense and stolen bases and manufacturing runs. Jack Clark was their big. They brought him in to be the home run hitter.
Yeah.
He probably, I don't bet there wasn't another Cardinal anywhere close to it. Ray Langford, I can't remember whether Langford was there or not. He might have been close, but
I pulled up their stats for that year.
Jack was fun to watch because he got his money worth when he swung.
So Jack Clark hit 35 home runs. The next closest Cardinal was Terry Pendleton, who hit 12.
Yeah.
And Willie McGee hit 11.
Yeah, I figured it was close.
And then Jim Lindemann hit 8.
Okay.
He looks like he's a backup outfielder.
Yeah.
And then you have Tony Pena, who hit 5.
Okay.
And then a whole bunch. Vince Coleman hit 3. Kurt Ford hit 3. John Morris hit 3.
Yeah, they didn't. And that's before they moved the wall in at Bush too. The
Oh,
wall was farther back. You had to hit a bomb. And
Old
Jack
Bush,
Clark
wall
could.
move back. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Clark could hit them too.
Bush has never been friendly. I mean, it's friendlier now, but it's still not one of the friendliest parks
Yeah.
in MLB. I think the corners are 335.
Well, and think about St. Louis in July and August when the humidity is way up there and the air gets heavy and
At
dead.
the beginning and the end of the year, 40 degrees, 30 degrees. It can still be cold. I mean,
that part of the country gets snowouts at the beginning of the baseball season.
Oh yeah.
So, but yes, we're talking about Jack Clark maybe taking the MVP from Andre Dawson. You're talking about a guy that led the league in 4 categories: on base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, and walks. He also hit 35 home runs at 106 RBIs for the first place St. Louis Cardinals. I'd say he had a pretty good season. So, yeah, that is our MVP debate for tonight. We appreciate you tuning in for this Minnesota Twins episode. We'd appreciate you tuning in next week for our Chicago White Sox episode. Yeah, another Central team. I know, they're real doozies.
yeah, I kind of big downer on the AL Central earlier.
Everybody's a downer on the AL Central. But thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.